All right, guys. I'm officially recording, so don't shout profanity in the background. Has anybody watched these videos on Classroom? Yes? Because sometimes you can hear what you guys say sometimes. What? Gotcha. Gotcha. All right, well, this is the quadratic formula. It is. Guys, this is the fourth and final method of solving these things. Listen up, guys, listen up. This is the last method of solving that we're going to look at. I know it looks really ugly. Did you say body shame the quadratic formula? It's 2022, guys. Oh, man. I know that it looks ugly, but I promise, over time, the quadratic formula will become your friend. It will. It will. I promise. No. No. It looks ugly, but the more we do it, it will get easier and easier. And you will learn to love the quadratic formula. Here's why you'll learn to love it. This, what I'm about to write, is the big important thing about the quadratic formula, okay? It's important because it always works. Yep. It always works. That's the cool thing about it. It never does not work. So if I give you a quadratic equation and I tell you to solve it and you try to factor it and it doesn't work, or you don't know how to complete the square, or you can't do square roots, you can always do this and it'll always work. It's like a get out of jail free card. What? Oh, it accomplishes that very well.
At least you guys still use delta, which I'm really happy about.
You use delta when you get into some upper level stuff, but not this.
Yeah, we use delta in that. So inside
What?
the square root, you use the root side.
Did you see that?
It's like a triangle. It's really just a triangle. So because
All right, whatever.
that formula with delta, so like whenever it's inside the square root of delta, and then you use the formula inside the square root.
Yep. All right. I'm going to get you through one example. You think we can do that? No, probably not.
We don't call it that if it's a
What? I do?
No, she's asking for you.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, guys, can we do this? One example. I promise I'm going to chunk it up. Okay? Yep. All right, first, we need to figure out what A, B, and C are. Where's A, B, and C?
The first one?
Yeah, and this one.
Okay, we need to press to the other side.
Okay. So if you bring the 2 over, oh my gosh. You have 3x squared minus 5x plus 2 equals 0.
No, it's negative 2.
Minus 2, sorry. Oh my gosh. All right, so here's A, here's B, here's C. That means A is 3, B is negative 5, C is negative 2, yes? We okay with that? All right. So I'm going to write the equation. The equation is this. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Does anybody have it memorized?
Yes.
You might have it memorized in a couple days. I don't know, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. So here we go. Guys, here's my word of advice for using the quadratic formula. There's a lot of pieces running around. Just look at one thing at a time, one piece at a time. You do not have to solve this whole thing in like 1 or 2 steps. You can break it up, look at one thing at a time, and then it'll end up being okay. Okay? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys are in full form today. I can't wait to see what my second hour is like. Oh, gosh. All right. I don't know. Who's that? Yeah. They're loud. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to take my pieces, A, B, and C, and I'm just going to put them in here. Okay? That's the first thing I'm going to do. So it's negative 5. If you have negative 5, what's that going to be? Positive 5. I'm going to write it out first, but if you want to make that jump, you can. So it's negative B, it's negative 5, plus or minus the square root of B squared, so that's negative 5 squared, minus 4 times A, which is 3, times C, which is negative 2. All divided by 2 times A, which is 3. Sorry, my handwriting's bad with this. I'm trying to figure it out. Those are 5s, negative 5s. So all I've done is put the pieces in the equation. I haven't really done anything with it yet. I've just filled it in. Okay? So one thing at a time. One thing at a time. Let's just simplify a little bit. X equals negative 5. That's 5. Plus or minus the square root. Let's figure out what's inside of here. Okay? What's negative 5 squared? 25 minus 4 times 3 times negative 2. Well, 4 times 3 is 12, and 12 times negative 2 is negative 24, right? So it's minus negative 24, and we'll deal with that in a second. Yes? The square root. Well, we're going to add these together, and then it'll change a little bit. And 2 times 3 is 6. So I just simplified a little bit. I haven't done the whole thing yet. I've just simplified a little bit. One thing at a time, one step at a time. You guys okay with all this? All right, let's keep breaking it down. I got x equals 5 plus or minus 25 minus negative 24. What's that? Hold up. You're subtracting a negative. That's like you're adding, right? That's 49 over 6. Use a calculator if you need to. You guys okay with that jump? I had 25 minus negative 24. I had to add those together. I get 49. What's the square root of 49? 7. If this was not a perfect square, what would you need to do? You'd have to simplify it, right? Use these numbers, break it down. But it is a perfect square, so that's cool. 5 plus or minus 7 over 6. Okay. So here's the deal. If you want to leave it like this, I'm fine with that. You could say, hey, here it is. 5 plus or minus 7 divided by 6. But this is also 2 numbers, right? You could find them if you want. One of them, so you could do that. Or you could do x equals 5 plus 7 over 2. and x equals 5 minus 7. Or, sorry, I mean 6. So you leave it like this, or you could actually go find the numbers. Let's see what they are. 5 plus 7 is 12 over 6, so one of them is 2. 5 minus 7 is negative 2 over 6, so one of them is negative 1/3. Ugh. So you either leave it like that, or you go get the two numbers. Yes? Remember, if this, I don't like this thing right now. If this is not a perfect square, you might not be able to go find the number, and that's okay. All right? Okay, do you want to try one, or do you want me to see me do another one? You want to try it? Why don't you try this one on your own for a couple minutes, and then we'll do it together. Remember, you got to get everything on the same side to get A, B, and C. So first, you have to add this, add that. So A is 2, B is 6, C is 7. And here's the equation. Ready, set, go. All right, so let's figure this one out. Some of you finished it, some of you didn't. Let's get the same page. So we got A, B, and C. Remember, first thing, I'm just going to put them into the equation. So it's x equals negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times A, which is 2, times C, which is 7, all over 2 times A, which is 2. We okay with all that? Which part, Audrey? You sure? Okay. All I did was put A, B, and C into the equation. Okay? All right. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. I got negative 6 plus or minus 6 squared is 36 minus, what's 4 times 2 times 7? 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 7 is 56. So 6 squared gets me 36, and then I multiply all these together, I get 56 over 4, because that's 2 times 2. One thing at a time. What's 36 minus 56? Yeah? All right, this one is different from the first one we did. How's it different? Yeah, this is not a perfect square, and it has a negative number in there. So this one's going to look a little bit different. First, we need to simplify the square root of negative 20. So let's just do that over here. All right, so there's an I because there's a negative. No. Well, it's just 20. The negative became an I, so now it's just 20. So 4 and 5. So we use these numbers, 4 and 5. Guys, give me like 2 minutes. Give me like 2 minutes of your time, and then I'll be done talking to you for a little bit, okay? Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 4 becomes 2. I'll have the square root of 5 after that. Yes. So it became -6 plus or minus 2I square root of 5 over 4. Yeah? We okay with that? That's all right. So guys, there's one more thing I can do to simplify this. Listen up, guys. Listen up. Got one more thing here. I'm going to look at each piece. 2, 6, 2, root 5, and 4. Remember, we treat I root 5 kind of like it's a variable, so I can't really do anything with that, but it has a coefficient of 2. So -6 out of 2 out of 4 is our GCF between all those things. And I can divide all those by 2, right? And if I divide all of them by 2, the 2 would cancel. So I could simplify by dividing all these things by 2. So it would look like this. -3 plus or minus I root 5 over 2. And that would be my final. Love it. Okay. Do we have questions on that one at all? That one's a little bit different. There's 4 of them. You ready to try some on your own? Oh, Borden, buddy, I haven't said that in a long time. Let's get a whiteboard and do it with somebody else. Come on. We got 4 of them. Give them a try. Last thing I got to show you is this thing. This will have some applications later on in your math career. Basically, if you're solving a quadratic equation, there are 3 possibilities for what might happen. The parabola might look like this. Whoa. Wow. The parabola might look like this, in which case you have 2 x-intercepts, right? So then you have 2 solutions. That's kind of what we're used to. The parabola might look like this, or this, in which case it only hits the x-axis in one spot. That means it only has 1 solution. That's okay. Or the parabola might look like this, where it doesn't cross the x-axis at all, right? We've talked about that. That's when you have an imaginary solution. Whenever you're looking for the x-intercepts. And if it doesn't cross the x-axis, then your solutions become imaginary numbers. You got an I in those. Right? So does that make a little bit of sense? Those are the 3 things that could happen. You don't necessarily need to write this down. It's okay. There's an easy way to figure out what scenario you're looking at. Okay, and the quadratic formula can help us do that. It involves this thing that we call the discriminant. Notice how that's just the part of the quadratic equation that's underneath the square root. Sometimes we zero in just on that part, and we call it the discriminant. And the discriminant will tell us how many solutions we should get. Okay? It's okay. What? So the discriminant tells us what kind of solutions we have. Basically, here's all you need to know. If the discriminant gives you a positive number, that is the scenario where you have two real solutions. That is this scenario. If the discriminant is negative, 2 imaginary solutions. The discriminant is this. No, this whole thing. Yeah. Not just 4. That is this scenario where it doesn't cross the x-axis at all. And if the discriminant is 0, you have one real solution, and that is this scenario where it just touches the x-axis. Yep. I'll give you just one quick example of this, and then I'll be done talking. And then I have a question for you guys after this. Alright, so here's my equation. A, B, and C. The discriminant is B squared minus 4AC. So let's find out what it is. B is negative 5. Negative 5 squared minus 4 times A times C. So I'm just cranking these numbers and figuring out what it gives me. This is 25. 5 squared is 25. Yeah, 4 times 4 is 16. And 16 times 20 is 320. 3,200. That's 320. Yeah, so guys, I don't even care what this number ends up being. Why not? I just want to know if it's positive or negative. That's all I care about. What is it? Negative 295. So the discriminant's negative 295. I don't really care what the number is. I just care that it's negative. That means that we have two imaginary solutions.